Hi movie fans! Past Paradise returns to explore Hollywood's golden age of stars. Jim Carrey's intriguing career, which conquered the big screen with his famous roles and memorable performances, is examined today. From Ace Ventura to The Mask and The Truman Show, Carrey's energy and distinct comedy made him famous. In recent years, this talented actor has appeared less in blockbusters. What happened to Jim Carrey's film career? In this episode, we'll explore Carrey's interesting off-screen life, from his love of art and politics to his deep philosophical thoughts and discriminating approach to new ventures. We discover why he left Hollywood and what the future holds for this exceptional talent. Buckle up for a fascinating look into Jim Carrey's life. Superstar Jim Carrey. James Eugene Carrey was the youngest of 4 siblings, born to Kathleen and Percy Carrey in the Ontario town of Burlington. It was evident from a very young age that there was something unique about him. Jim had creative tendencies from the start and longed to amuse others ever since he could remember. He wrote to Carol Burnett at age 10, requesting to do impressions on her program. Taking the world as his stage. The 10-year-old was turned down by Carol Burnett, but she did thank him for writing. Carrey would go on to face several rejections throughout the years, but he didn't let that stop him. He would do impressions anywhere, even in the classroom, if he couldn't do them on primetime television. Recognizing Carrey's impressive power, one of his professors attempted to limit his behavior by giving him a performance opportunity in front of the class, provided he remained silent the whole session, rather than openly forbidding him from amusing his other students. Not everybody laughs. But Carrey's inventive tendencies extended beyond humorous observations made in the classroom. Jim loved to paint and sculpt, and even took first place in a few competitions. His paintings became darker as he grew older. In an interview, he said, "I did pencil sketches and stuff like that," to Rolling Stone magazine. "I wasn't strange till I was older. When my parents entered the room, they asked, 'What are you drawing?' That would be my dad holding a revolver and glancing at his watch. I said, 'It's a portrait of you.' It's referred to as waiting to die." Monetary changes. Jim's father, Percy, was once a musician, but gave up on maintaining the family instead of pursuing his goal. The family was moved to Scarborough, where they resided in a home close to the plant where Dad worked. Due to their difficult financial circumstances, the Carrey children worked as janitors and security guards after school at the factory. Jim had hardships in this period of his life, and he dropped out of school at 16 due to the strain his job at the factory was causing him. Try it again. Jim would go to Toronto with his father at night after completing his job as a janitor during the day to break into the city's budding comedy scene. At the Toronto comedy club Yuck Yucks, Carrey got on stage and began performing often in front of friends who supported him. After earning enough money at 17, he moved to Los Angeles to try his luck in the major leagues. But he quickly went back to Toronto, where he remained until the age of 19, when he moved back to Los Angeles permanently. At last, achievement. Carrey began gaining recognition in nightclubs and eventually was granted a major part in NBC's short-lived comedy The Duck Factory. He was also getting booked at ever larger venues. Jim moved his family to Los Angeles since he had felt he had made it and could provide for them financially. Carrey told Rolling Stone, "They lived with me for a while until I ran out of money." Re-entering the dumps. Since Carrey was now providing for his whole family, he was under a lot of emotional strain. "I had to relocate them back to Canada because I ran out of patience, not money. In my nightmares, I was choking my mother as I slept. Until my finances were out, I continued to assist them. I became insolvent." Rebuilding. Jim Carrey was still far from starting from scratch. His stand-up routines were selling out, and he often performed at the storied Comedy Store, where he first married a waitress, Melissa Wolmer. After putting a lot of effort into his act, he was approached by Francis Ford Coppola and other big names in Hollywood who offered him parts. Carrey kept working and developing himself during the next 10 years until 1994, when a very unusual event occurred. Third time's a charm. After starring in an unparalleled run of box office successes in 1994, Jim Carrey's life and the history of film were irrevocably altered. Jim portrayed the title role in Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, at the beginning of February. Nearly half a year later, Carrey made waves again in late July with the groundbreaking, mostly CGI film The Mask. 5 months later, in mid-December, Carrey and Jeff Daniels featured in Dumb and Dumber, a massive box office blockbuster and cult classic. While any of these movies would have solidified Carrey's status as the unquestioned star, 3 in a year guaranteed his financial and career success for years. Jim gave a thought-provoking response when asked how he accomplished this. Key to achievement. Oprah Winfrey questioned Jim Carrey in a 1997 interview on how he achieved his goals. A recent celebrity said, "I would imagine things I wanted coming to me. I had nothing then, but it just made me feel better. Oh, I do have these things. I would think to myself as I drove home, they're out there. I haven't been able to reach them yet." For Jim, this method of goal visualization proved to be quite effective. Just before Thanksgiving 1995, I discovered I would win $10 million on Dumb and Dumber. I wrote myself a check for $10 million for acting services performed and dated it Thanksgiving 1995. I kept it in my pocket and it continued to degrade. At his father's burial, Jim placed the check he had finally been able to cash in his father's pocket and expressed his belief that his father had also dreamed of this. Establishing record. Due to Jim Carrey's quick ascent to fame, he received many record-breaking salaries that were unheard of in Hollywood. For example, he got an incredible $20 million for his performance in the 1996 comedy The Cable Guy, roughly 30% of the movie's $67 million budget. Before the movie's premiere, this was the most payment an actor had ever gotten for his or her role in a motion picture. The Cable Guy. Jim who? Carrey's popularity extended beyond North America. According to rumors, he was given the lead in the 8th season of the BBC's popular Doctor Who series. Paul McGann in Doctor Who, the actor declined the offer, claiming that fans wanted a doctor who was an enthusiast of the show and that he was unfamiliar with it. Giants of 1990. Numerous up-and-coming performers achieved superstardom in the 1990s. Though he was by no means alone, Jim Carrey was one. Perhaps the most respected artist in hip-hop history, Tupac Shakur was also a successful musician. The two megastars were close despite coming from different backgrounds and creative disciplines. Jim regularly sent Tupac funny letters when he was in prison to cheer him up. Increasing variety. Jim Carrey's wild personas and powerful facial acrobatics played a major role in his rise to fame. Carrey's acting range extended beyond slapstick roles, as seen by his breakout appearances as Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura, and The Mask. All of these roles were wildly comic. The actor proved he was more than just a one-trick pony by moving on to more serious parts after The Cable Guy. He progressively worked his way up the spectrum of dramatic seriousness with appearances in Liar Liar, The Truman Show, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. But was that how reviewers saw it? And lastly, awards. Carrey's financial triumph at the box office was just one part of his path to becoming a Hollywood icon. Nonetheless, many critics felt he ought to have won an Oscar for The Truman Show. Despite not being nominated for his performance in that movie, he was awarded a Golden Globe for Best Actor. Carrey, however, wasn't satisfied with merely being regarded as a serious actor. He started experimenting with increasingly extreme acting techniques and pushed himself and his peers to the limit. Technique. Carrey set aside his ego and self-awareness as an actor and a person when he took on the part of Andy Kaufman for the movie Man on the Moon. Instead, he would try to channel Kaufman via method acting. Carrey gave one of his greatest and most memorable performances as a consequence, both on and off film. He was so completely transformed into Kaufman that the late Kaufman's family visited him on set and acknowledged him as genuine. Decades later, Jim and Andy, The Great Beyond, featuring a very special, contractually obligated mention of Tony Clifton, a documentary on Carrey's performance, was made possible by video of his off-camera method acting. Family honesty. While working as a waiter at the Comedy Store in the 1980s, Jim Carrey met Melissa Womer, an aspiring actress. In 1987, the couple tied the knot and welcomed their only child, Jane Erin, into the world. Regrettably, the marriage was not enduring. Carrey's relationship with Melissa became increasingly strained as his fame increased. Eventually, with the global triumph of Dumb and Dumber, the two decided to call it quits. Although Dumb and Dumber ended one romance, it also proved to be the beginning of another. Luminous on set. A year after Jim and Melissa divorced, Carrey was already married to another lady, fellow Canadian Lauren Holly, the female lead of Dumb and Dumber. Sadly, their joy would not last long, as the two were divorced after a year of marriage. A few short years later, Carrey started dating another co-actor. Holly wouldn't be his final love engagement. Star connection. On the set of the romantic comedy Me, Myself, and Irene, Carrey got to know Renee Zellweger, the actress of beloved films like Jerry Maguire and Bridget Jones' Diary. The gifted actor captivated Zellweger, and the two remained together for many years, at one point even getting engaged before calling it quits. Carrey was about to embark on a new serious relationship in 2004. Everyman. Jim Carrey obtained full citizenship in the United States of America in 2004. Carrey's success had become a source of national pride for many Canadians, so many felt betrayed. However, the Hollywood star highlighted his pride in his heritage. "I have no intention of giving up my Canadian heritage and all those who loved and supported me. I'll always be happy to call Canada home." Christmas spoiling. Throughout the 2000s, Carrey portrayed a bewilderingly wide range of characters from all walks of life in various genres and media. However, one peculiar character type appeared twice. In Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, which Carrey portrayed in 2000, was the Grinch. Then, as it was coming to a close, he portrayed Ebenezer Scrooge in A Christmas Carol in 2009. Does Carrey dislike Christmas in any way? Most likely not, but he undoubtedly has a love for portraying characters who are emotionally taxing and seem to be unlikable. Taylor Momsen and Jim Carrey in the 2000 film How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Again with sentiment. Starting in 2001, Carrey put his romantic life on hold. He avoided the dating scene and was not romantically attached. Then, in 2005, he got to know someone who would become a significant part of his life. When Jenny McCarthy, an actress and model, joined Carrey's life, the two seemed to be the definition of contentment. Belongs to the family. Throughout all of his relationships, Carrey had one woman who would surely remain in his life forever, Jane Erin Carrey, the daughter of him and Melissa Womer. Jane Carrey was born in 1987, shortly after Carrey and Womer tied the knot. Born with a creative streak, Jane became a successful singer-songwriter with the Jane Carrey Band. Uncle Jim. Jackson Riley Santana was born to Jim Carrey's daughter, Jane Erin Carrey, when she was 47 years old. The ecstatic grandpa expressed his happiness on social media. "My grandson, Jackson Riley Santana, was born today. What 7 pounds 11 ounces is this? How California dynamite seems." Things couldn't have gone better for the Carreys when Jenny McCarthy, who had become close to Erin, was named an honorary grandmother. However, as with the actor's life, there appeared to be a sad point for every bright one. City of Heartbreak. The decision to separate between Carrey and McCarthy was made despite the new family member. After a happy 5 years of marital bliss, the two celebrities split. McCarthy said, "Jim and I are still good friends," adding that the two were amicable and their split was a mutual choice. Issues with fuzz. Jim Carrey's West Village studio was called to the NYPD in 2011 because of some strange graffiti that had been sprayed on its front. It showed the letters FFC and a strange silhouette of an alien-like being sitting cross-legged on a purple background. Despite the apparent vandalism, Jim Carrey explained that he had spray-painted the walls of his studio and that the being was a mischievous deity named Baba who exists in negative space. Some found this behavior concerning, but the actor insisted that this was just another way to express himself. Still, this was not the actor's only troubling way of expressing himself. Secret video communications. A somewhat amusing, sometimes unsettling video love letter to actress Emma Stone was posted by Jim Carrey in 2011. The actor said, "I just wanted to tell you that I think you're all beautiful. Not just attractive, but also thoughtful and kind. And if I were younger, I would marry you, and we would have fat, freckled babies." The bizarre video gained widespread attention, causing Carrey's True Life website to crash. When asked, Carrey defended the remark, despite later reports suggesting it was a publicity gimmick for the new website. But Emma Stone's response was priceless. Emma's predicament. Emma Stone first reacted to Carrey's video with discomfort and embarrassment, but with time she appeared to get her bearings and devise a novel way to handle the odd message. Stone corrected the record in an interview with New York Magazine. She said, "I can't even tell you how flattered I was. Sincere, I must admit that I was flattered." Assuming accountability. One of the most eagerly awaited movies of 2013 was Kick-Ass 2, in which Carrey played a crucial supporting part as the armed Colonel Stars and Stripes. However, tragedy hit America before the movie's premiere with the Sandy Hook massacre. "I did Kick-Ass a month before Sandy Hook, and now, in all good consciousness, I cannot support that level of violence," said Jim Carrey in a statement issued after the slaughter. "I apologize to everyone else associated with the movie. I don't feel guilty about it, but something has changed in my heart recently." Clever move. In keeping with his vow, Carrey shied away from the violent movies and made a triumphant comeback to cinemas the following year, playing his cherished role of Lloyd in the much-awaited follow-up to his cult classic Dumb and Dumber 2. Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels in Dumb and Dumber 2, 2014. The picture grossed $169.8 million at the box office worldwide, exceeding the studio's expectations that a 20-year gap between the two films would be too much to wait. One more hit. Carrey had a connection with an Irish makeup artist named Catriona White, who was discovered deceased in September 2015. Carrey took a plane to her nation to attend the burial. With emotions running high, Carrey was declared not guilty in the subsequent court struggle, despite accusations from certain family members that he was somehow responsible for her suicide. Carrey had a depressive episode due to stress, which is a family trait. However, he chose to confront the issue without taking medicine. Carrey no longer uses prescription medications to treat his depression, and he also gave up coffee and other stimulants. The memo. But a different reality is revealed by the suicide note Catriona White left on her iPad. She maintained in the message that Carrey was the one who first exposed her to drugs and illness. The note says, "You did good things for me, but being with you broke me down as a person, Jim. I was promised Jekyll, and instead I got Hyde. You have not thought about the stigma I have to live with for the rest of my life. You've not apologized or even asked if there's something you can do to make it better, or even felt bad for it, or even asked me how I'm feeling about it." A dedicated location. Jim Carrey has been more outspoken about his beliefs in recent years, drawing looks and puzzled looks from both interviewers and fans. "I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian. I'm whatever you want me to be," he said in one interview. "It all comes down to the same thing. You're in a loving place or you're in an unloving place. If you're with me right now, you cannot be unhappy. It's not possible." Furthermore, Carrey teaches transcendental meditation to at-risk youth. Facial hair. This itchy, scratchy, elephant-sized object in the room is Jim Carrey's enormous beard, which he had for a while. It was enormous, amazing, and mysterious. Why did he grow it out? When questioned about it in an interview with Jimmy Kimmel, Carrey declined to give a specific explanation, implying that there was none. The amount of attention his beard generated seemed to be as mysterious to him as his billowing, wizard-like facial hair was to us. Out of light. In addition to expressing more serious thoughts, Carrey said in a Jimmy Kimmel Live interview that he's been reassessing his famous status and the influence of Hollywood on his life. Jim Carrey and Jimmy Kimmel said, "Life is so beautiful, especially when I'm absent from it. It's not me anymore, don't get me wrong. Jim Carrey is a great character, and I was lucky to get the part, he added. I used to be a guy experiencing the world, and now I feel like the universe and the world experiencing a guy. Thus, something has changed somewhat. The conversation. What does it all mean? Jim Carrey recently made headlines again when he appeared to criticize celebrities and fashion during a red carpet interview with an E! News reporter during New York Fashion Week. He said, "I don't believe in icons. I don't believe in personalities. I believe that peace lies beyond personality, invention, and disguise. I believe that it's deeper than that. I believe we're a field of energy dancing for itself, and I don't care." Justifications. When you dig far enough into the roles you portray as an actor, you find that your persona was very thin to begin with, Carrey said. You have this abrupt disconnect, and you're like, who's Jim Carrey? Oh, he's not real. He's just a relative manifestation of consciousness that appeared. Someone gave him a name, a nationality, a religion, and he combined those into what he thought was a personality, but it's not real. None of that stuff is genuine when you get down to it. Where to? As a producer for the upcoming Showtime series I'm Dying Up Here, which follows the lives of stand-up comedians in the 1970s, Jim Carrey appears to be interested in a career behind the camera these days. When asked if he saw himself returning to acting, he said, "I'm in the process of shedding layers of persona at this time in my life." As Jim Carrey might say, we hope this process brings him happiness and that he'll eventually return to playing more of those wonderful, zany characters that have made us laugh and cry over the past 3 decades. If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon